Do CC on Sunday? Chaitanya Charitamrita on Sunday?
Yeah.
And to us to Bhagavad Prabhupada, Leela and Rita and all sorts of things. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Toma Vina Ke Dayalo Jagata Sangsare Avina Ke Dayalo Jagata Samsare Patita Pavana Hetu Tavavatara Patita Pavana Hetu Tavavatara Mosamopati Taprava Napaive Ara Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripabala Kanakara Ami boro dukhi Koro Ami boro dukhi Doya koro sitapati Advaita Gosai Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bole Pai To Kripa Nitai Tava Kripa Bole Pai Chaitanya Nitai Ha ha Swarup Sanatana Uparagunatha Swarup Sanatana Uparagunatha Bhatta Yuga Shijivaha Prabhu Lokanatha Tuya Koro Siyacharya Prabhu Srinivasa Siyacharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangamage Naratamudasa Chandra Dasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Daya Koro More Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More Toma Vina Ke Doyalo Jagata Samsare Vina Ke Doyalo Jagata Samsare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Go Premanande Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Hastata Sarasya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta ki Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki Shri Radha Parasishwar ki Shri Radha Damodar ki Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai Haryam Sankirtan ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani. Pacharine Nirvasesha Sanyavari Pastichari Shatani. So what do you normally do? You go through several verses and stop here and there? Is that what you do?
Basically, if it doesn't have any purport, we continue until we find a verse that has purport.
I see. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Did you read the book scores this morning?
Yes.
You read them, okay, good. So I guess you're reading from 94, is that correct?
Yes.
It's on the board?
Yes.
Okay. This is a very light chapter and lots of purports.
Ramananda.
Huh?
Sorry.
I'm joking. This is one of the most we could say. As far as Tattva goes, complex chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita with even Srila Prabhupada, even the commentators, not so many purports. Hare Krishna. Did you get my note about one extra big book yesterday?
On the Sankirtan front.
Yeah, I wrote it in. I wrote it.
I assume that Vivekananda.
Yeah, picked up. You saw it, huh? You saw it was there. Okay, good. I forgot one Spanish book was distributed. Another one on top of the Gita. I had another Spanish book which I forgot. So we read text 94. Say. English pronunciation it sounds the same as the Sanskrit. Ta. Seta. You learn the verse like this. Very important verse to learn. Memorize this verse, okay? Purusha, Ananta, Brahmanda, Arjya. No, a little smaller right there. How do you see it? Srijiya, Sabha, Ande, Praveshila, Bahumurti, Hana, Seta Purusha Ananta Pramanda Srijaya. Sabha Ande Praveshila Bahumurti Hana. Seta Purusha Ananta Pramanda Srijaya. Sabha Ande Praveshila Bahumurti Hana. Seta Purusha Ananta Pramanda Srijaya. Sabha Ande Praveshila Bahumurti Hana. What was the mistake?
Praveshila.
Huh?
Praveshila. I wrote Praveshita.
Okay.
Seta Purusha Ananta Pramanda Srijaya.
Seta Purusha Ananta
Saba ande praveshila baho murtihana. Seta purusha ananta brahmanda srijaya. Saba ande praveshila bahu murtihana.
Saita Purusha Ananta Brahmanda Srijaya.
Seta purusha ananta brahmanda srijaya.
Sabande Praveshila Bahumurtihana.
Sabande praveshila bahu murtihana.
Seta Purushananta Brahmanda Shriya.
Seta purusha ananta brahmanda srijaya.
Sabande Praveshila Bahumurtiyana.
Sabande praveshila bahu murtihana.
Seta Purushananta Brahmanda Srijaya.
Sete purusha ananta brahmanda srijaya.
Sabande Praveshila Bahumurtiyana.
Sabande praveshila bahu murtihana.
Seta Purushananta Brahmanda Srijaya.
Seta purusha ananta brahmanda srijaya.
Sabande Praveshila Bahumurtihana.
Sabande praveshila bahu murtihana. Say that.
That.
Ta.
Ta.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Purusha.
Purusha.
Incarnation.
Incarnation.
Ananta Brahmanda.
Ananta Brahmanda.
Innumerable universes.
Innumerable universes.
Srijaya.
Srijaya.
Creating.
Creating.
Sabha.
Sabha.
All.
All.
Ande.
Ande.
In the egg-like universes.
In the egg-like universes.
Praveshila.
Praveshila.
Entered.
Entered.
Bahumurtihana.
Murtiyana.
Taking multifarious forms.
Taking multifarious forms.
Translation, and there is no purport. After creating millions of universes, the first Purusha entered into each of them in a separate form as Sri Garbhodakshayi. So just to summarize, I guess we all know, but it's always good to remember, that for the purpose of facilitating the conditioned souls, the Lord arranges to create this material universes, material energy, and in order to do so, he expands himself. Lord Balaram, in fact, expands himself as Mahavishnu, and then he lies down in the causal ocean, and from his breathing, he breathes in. Must be an ecstatic breath. And he breathes out. And sometimes we see them coming out from the pores of his body. Breathing also takes place through the pores of the body. What it does, incidentally. If your pores on your body are all blocked, I believe you have problems. Is that right? In the human life, I think you'll die. There's also in and out through the pores of the skin. Maybe in a different mechanism altogether, but nonetheless it's going on, whatever that is. So he breathes, when he's breathing out, whatever it may be, out come innumerable, and here it says millions, but it's innumerable universes. You cannot count how many. Innumerable. Universes come, egg-like, described here, egg-like. Although it's not mentioned, I don't think it's mentioned. It's not mentioned in the translation, but in the word for word it says in the egg-like universes. Egg meaning like. So you can see, of course, egg is oval, so, more or less. I don't know if it means literally egg, but we usually mean like spherical. Round like bubbles. They're seen like bubbles coming out of the form of the Lord, and there are innumerable ones. So they just keep coming out as he breathes out, and when he breathes in, they all enter back into him. So that's pretty far out, inconceivable methodology of creating the universes in the minds of most people. I don't think the scientists have yet come up with that theory about creation. I don't think so. That all the universe is like bubbles coming out of some causal ocean somewhere, maybe something, I don't know, but it's pretty far. And there's not, mostly they consider this as the only one, because they say there are many universes within the sphere of their perception, but there's just not. What we see is only one universe. What we perceive is only one universe. It's not many. This universe is covered, as you know, by many layers of the various elements, and you cannot see through it. It's like a football, and you can't. When you're inside the football, you can't see outside the football. Have you ever been inside a football?
No.
No. But you can imagine, if you're inside a football, you wouldn't be able to see outside the football, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. So inside the universe, you can't see outside of that universe. Now that universe is completely dark, black as ink, inside the coverings. And sometimes it's said that the eye of the Lord is the sun. Huh? So he sees through the sun. And because of his seeing, we can see. In other words, from his eye, which is represented by the sun, is the light of the universe. It's actually a reflection of the Brahma-Jyoti, which enlightens the whole universe. So the sun, although they say there are many suns within the universe, there's only one sun within the perceivable universe, which is lighting up the entire spectrum of our perceptivity. Beyond our perceptivity, the whole universe is enlightened by one sun, which is none other than a representative of God in the universe, bringing light in this dark universe. So here we see how he then expands in another way. The sun is one that comes later. But he expands in this form in each universe as Garbhodakshaya, one who lies down in the Garbha ocean, or in the womb. The Garbha samskara is the samskara which is performed when conception takes place. When a husband and wife desire to conceive a child, they do certain samskaras, and then that's conception. When the child's in the womb, there's a Garbha samskara, when the child's in the womb, to purify the child. So Garbha. So this universe is like a womb in which the Lord injects, just like a man injects through the sperm, he injects life into the womb of the mother, through the sperm. And then in that womb, the mother cultivates and the body grows. Mother's not aware of doing it, but it's going on down there. And the same in the universe, that the Lord injects the living entity into the universes through his glance, and then Mother Nature, as we call it, it's a very complex issue under the direction of the demigods and so on and so forth, Lord Brahma, and then different forms are created suitable, and the living entities are then, you should say, injected into those various forms according to their previous karmas and previous desires. They then end up in a new universe when the time of creation takes place, in a particular kind of body according to their past karmas and desires. And so this is going on ad infinitum, and this is all done by the avatars, the incarnations of the Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu creating the universe, Garbhodakshaya creating Lord Brahma, you could say, who then under his empowerment creates the elements of the universe, the various forms, then Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, expansion of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, maintaining. The next verse, entering the universe he found only darkness with no place in which to reside. Thus he began to consider. So this is here, we're not yet at the point of Lord Brahma, but this is Lord Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Then he created water from the perspiration of his own body, and with that water filled half the universe. The universe measures 500 million yojanas. its length and breadth are one and the same. That doesn't agree with the scientific measurements of the universe by any means. I don't think there's any comparison there whatsoever. This is the Vedic calculation of the length and breadth of the universe, of this universe anyway. A yojan is 8 miles, so 500, that's 4 billion miles each way. Not very much by scientific calculation. I don't know what they say it is. It's a lot more than that, that's for sure. Billions of light years, I think. But then they'll say there are many universes, so I don't know what their latest measurements, if they have any, are. Who can say? It's impossible to measure. It's beyond there. I mean, they have certain measurements which they try to use, but they're all very relative measurements. And the law of relativity is a very, let's say, not say flexible, but it's not an absolute law. After filling half the universe with water, he made his own residence therein and manifested the 14 worlds in the other half. When it says 14 worlds, it doesn't mean 14 planets. It's 14 planetary systems with different life forms or levels of consciousness on each system, so to speak. The earthly system, so in the middle, and here's the names of them. The 14 worlds are enumerated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter. The upper planetary systems are Bu, Bhuvar, Svar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satya, going up. The 7 lower planetary systems are Tala, Atala, Vitala, Nitala, Talatala, Mahatala, and Sutala. Nitala, I thought it was Natala. Anyway, the lower planets as a whole are called Patala. Among the upper planetary systems, Bu, Bhuvar, and Svar constitute Svargaloka, and the rest are called Marcha. The entire universe is thus known as Triloka. 3 is then divided again to 3. The upper planetary systems, which are here mentioned as Bu, whether, I don't know if there's one name given to them, there's 3 names given, but there's Svargaloka. Svargaloka, and the middle planetary systems are Martyaloka, planets of death, birth and death, particularly the Earth, of course. And the lower planetary systems are Patalaloka, the ones down. Generally, that's just a categorization, and then there's a breakdown within that. And I don't know which ones are in which exactly, but the lower ones are Patala, the middle ones are Marcha, and the upper ones are Svarga. So most people aspire to go to Svarga. You go to, many, especially Indian people who are familiar with these terms and destinations, etc., they aspire to go to Svargaloka, the heavenly planets. In Christianity, they don't have the same terminology, or perhaps not quite the same information about the generalization, but they do have about the details. So there's something about the generalization, the heavens, the hells, and the earthly planet. Something in between. What you do on the earthly planet determines whether you go to heaven or hell. Well, they're not wrong there. Maybe the nature of heaven and hell, the purposes, the duration, the reasons may not be quite the same, but they have pretty much an idea of heaven, hell, and something in between, which more or less is earth. They don't conceive, I think they don't conceive, as far as I know, of another earthly planet. I don't think they do. Do they? Christian? Any of you strict Christians? No, not strict Christian. As far as I know, this earth is it. That's it. And the other planets in the universe are just they don't really have any meaning in one. I often wonder what's the purpose. If there's no life on any of the other planets, what's the purpose of all those planets up there? It doesn't, I mean, maybe you can say it looks nice. I don't know if it does or it doesn't, but some people say it does, but I'm sure you could make it look a lot nicer than that if that was the only reason you wanted to make it look nice. You can make them look much more colorful. They could be different colors, and they could be, different shapes and all sorts of things. It would be quite a colorful thing looking up at the sky. Maybe in heaven it's like that. Maybe you see them as being, very nicer than they are on this planet. I don't know what their idea there is, but they say there's no life on all the other planets, or there's some amoebic life, maybe some amoebas or some tiny little cells or something, but no conscious life like we know it. Although heaven, I guess heaven is beyond the purview of their perception, and hell, well, something's living in hell and something's living in heaven, wherever those places are. Here it tells clearly where they are. Svargaloka is the heavens, and Patalaloka are the hells. There are many different kinds of hells, as you may know. Some of the hells are said to be subterranean, hellish planets. They're actually like heaven, without God or without any religion or devotion. They're just, karmically speaking, they have no godliness, but there's something in their karma which has entitled them to enjoy some kind of pleasures. And there are planets in the lower systems. They're not they're hellish in one sense, but they're not hellish like we think of hell. What we think of hell is horrible, torture. You're being ripped apart, beaten and whipped and burned to shreds and so on and so forth, isn't it? The hell, the paintings. Who's this famous European painting? Who is it by? Who was that by? This Dante or something, was it? Dante? I can remember. There's one famous painting of hell. I think it's in Rome or Florence or somewhere? Somewhere in Italy, I think. Very famous painting. I've never seen it. It's well known. I remember it when we were kids anyway, hearing about it. And they're depicting hell. It's very similar to the Bhagavatam's description in many ways, boiling pots of ghee being ground to pieces in, grinding things. And you don't die, this is the problem. You're still conscious, you're fully conscious throughout the whole thing. And they don't necessarily have a conception of what it is that's being ground to pieces or boiled to, fried to a crisp or whatever. The concept of what goes there and what goes to heaven is not always so clear. And then in heaven, what happens up there? They also have paintings of heaven, don't they? I mean, I think different religions, different branches of the religions have a somewhat different concept of that. But, I mean, some of them have a very interesting concept. I mean, your pet dog's up there and your grandmother's there. I don't know if I want to be your grandmother in heaven, They're all there. So at what stage of your life do you kind of manifest in heaven, I mean, it looks like the body goes here rather than something internally. According to the Vedas, that's not exactly what happens, is it? It's the soul and the subtle body. Yes, you could say the subtle body, in one sense, you could equate it by saying the nature of the subtle body, it will determine that form. So if your nature is that of an old man, maybe you will appear as an old man in heaven. You could argue like that. But generally speaking, the Vedas don't kind of give that kind of conclusion. You take on a heavenly body, a beautiful, youthful, heavenly body where you can enjoy as if without cessation. Sounds quite attractive, doesn't it? There are different levels of Svargaloka and of the upper planetary systems. There are different, as mentioned here, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and so on are there, where the living entities there are not exactly in the mood of enjoying like heavenly delights. That's more like the plane of Indra, and that plane of the heavens. But in Janaloka, maybe a little bit, Tapaloka, what's the other one called? Bhuva. Tapa, such as highest, that's Brahma's abode. Tapas, the living entities on Tapaloka, they're all performing austerities. They're living a life of satisfaction, deep satisfaction. There's very little disturbance, so you could say, from negativity. But they're performing austerities to attain a higher plane. So there are different stages of those higher planetary systems. It's not all just about sitting around eating grapes and drinking wine and having a great time up there, like whatever it is, There's no God, by the way, up there. You never see very much a reference to the position of God. It's more about you will be enjoy or be happy, and so on and so forth. Not much in terms of relationship with God. In some, they don't even mention God's presence at all. It's almost like he doesn't exist. Very impersonal. It's just like the impersonal Brahman, or some all-pervasive kind of love or happiness, or something, peace or something like that. God is love, God is peace, God is happiness. God is everywhere, but you can't see him. And he doesn't have any particular pastimes, he just pervades. You are the enjoyer of, you could say, the creation of God, not God. So it's still a material thing, although it may be with a consciousness of God of some level or another, and also, you could say, behaving more in the mode of goodness, more in the mode of piety and so on. But again, in Bhagavad Gita, it describes that once, let's say, stay in those heavenly planes, or even in the hellish planes, or the earthly planes, is temporary. Something which isn't usually so, let's say, accepted by other as aspirants on the path of God consciousness. They don't usually accept that. Particularly, you go to hell forever, you go to heaven forever, isn't it? And there's a stage, I've been asking that question a few times, what happens if you didn't happen to be born in the right place at the right time for some reason or another, and you never heard about the Savior? What's your position? I mean, are you just unfortunate? You're one of those unfortunate creatures that doesn't get a chance? But apparently you stay in some kind of limbo situation until the final judgment, and then you make your choices. It sounds reasonable in one sense. But it's not taking into account, of course, the responsibility of the living entity, or the, let's say, the equality of God, that he's equal to all living entities. He's reciprocating with the living entity. Now, there's no, why would one person be born in a particular place, like in a family of a particular denomination, and another born in the family that has no denomination, if there's no life before this one? If there's no responsibility before this one? What determines that? Well, they'll have some, try to make up some answer, but there's no responsible answer as far as I've heard for that one. Why you're born in, say for instance you're born as an Eskimo, never heard of religion at any stage whatsoever. Maybe they say you're not a human being, I don't know. And you're born in, a pious Catholic family, and someone else is born in an atheistic family, and someone's born, in the idol-worshipping Hindu families, and so on and so forth, isn't it? Why? Why are you born there? What did I do to deserve this, or not deserve it, or whatever it may be? Why am I born here, in this particular gender, in this particular place, with this particular body, which happens to be deformed, which happens to be mentally challenged, which happens to be, whatever it happens to be, why? Is it some kind of mistake? Is God not very expert at reproducing people, and they should all be equal, surely, an equal chance given? It would seem to be, because there's no reference in most cases to the responsibility of the soul, or even what the nature of the soul is. Haribol Subhadra, this is her last day here. They're leaving for India tomorrow. We're going to miss them. What are we going to do without them? And what we're going to do? Rambhadra and Subhadra, the Bhadras, the Bhadra family. Hare Krishna. Mr. and Mrs. Bhadra. Hare Krishna. Most auspicious. Yeah. So what to do? So the responsibility of the living entity, the nature, what does that mean? It's generally put down to a physical combination of spirit, mind, and body, but not really knowing the definition or the nature of those three. Are you the body? Are you the mind? Are you something beyond it, or is it a combination of all three? What is it? It's a bit muddled and jumbled and not defined very clearly, and certainly not in terms of responsibility. But the responsibility wholly and solely is that of the soul. Matter is just, you could say, just like clothes. You choose your clothes according to your nature, and your capacity, of course. And everyone has a different choice. But we know we're not this coat. I think we do. Are you the coat? Are you your jumper? Is that you?
No, I.
You sure? Are you this? Is this you? But the body, they say, yeah. Well, I mean, you take off the ear. Is that you? Here's part of me. It's ear. But anyone can see the ear is definitely not conscious. It's just, you can't hear once you take it off the head. It's useless, isn't it? You can stamp on it, you can burn it, there's no reaction. Even you don't feel anything when it's separated from your body, right? If you take your, no, don't try it, but if you take your ear off your head and burn it, are you going to start screaming? I mean, you might out of attachment, but not out of actual feeling, right? Isn't it? Obviously, even the leg, you know, sometimes people have their legs amputated, right? You're still the same person, although it's probably about 1/10 of the total body, maybe more than that. I don't know how much, but it's a large quantity, a large portion of your body, is it not? But if you take both legs off, it's probably 30 or 40% of the body mass, at least. And both arms, you get at least 50% of the body mass has been removed. But, you know, other than the fact you can't use your legs and arms, you're stuck. But you're still the same person. You know, you're exactly the same person. It's not like half of me is gone. You're still exactly the same person. And you can burn those legs and arms right in front of you. You might cry when you see them burn because they were yours. You thought they were yours anyway. Yeah, they were yours, but now you've lost them. So when we lose things, we tend to cry. We tend to be upset. But you don't actually feel anything. Like, you know, if someone tries to burn them when they're attached to you, to your body, you'll really feel it, right? Have you ever been burnt? Have you had a serious burn? Has anyone had a serious burn? No? I had one once. On Parikrama, Brajmandal Parikrama, at Kamyavan. It was an amazing experience. And it was 2:30 in the morning. I was getting up at 2 every morning because I had to write the drama scripts for the day before Mangalarti. I was doing all the dramas on the Parikrama. And I was trying to with candlelight, trying to write scripts like 2:30 in the morning till 4:30 every morning to get ready for the evening drama. And that morning I got up. Normally there's no hot water, so you have to boil hot water. So I put the pot on to boil the hot water, but there was no lights. Everyone's fast asleep, and I made a mistake. I hit the pot of boiling hot water, hit it, and it fell off the stove and went phew over my arm. It was like phew, all the skin went phew, 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 like this. You know. Luckily, I had a coat on, as someone said. It wasn't 100%, but it was like probably 95% or something. And it was like whoop! It was like fire. Like you felt your arm was on fire. It was like amazing. It was like, whew, you can imagine hell. You know, it's like, you know, a little touch of hell. Luckily there were doctors there, so they did certain things so they protected it. But, you know, it was like, it wasn't 100% burn, it was this, but the skin all shot off. It was like, not quite down to the bone, but, you know, the last layer was still there. It was very delicate, very delicate. But, you know, yeah, it's like you're literally on fire. So you can touch of hell, a touch of what hell is like. And imagine living in that with the idea that that's your eternal abode. What a horrible thing. Is it possible to think that God would want to do that to his own expansions, his own children? He might punish them, but for eternity? Pretty heavy, isn't it? Pretty heavy. I mean, what's the point of existence? What's the point? There's no point. There's no point of creation, in one sense. It's meaningless. As we mentioned the other day, these are used as threats. They're not used as absolute. It's not like a parent sometimes threatens a child, you know, something horrible threatens them, just to try to get the child to do, you're going to die if you don't eat your spinach, right? I don't know if your parents ever said that to you or not. You're going to die. Now they usually say, if you don't eat your meat, you're going to die. You know, or something like that. They threaten the child, isn't it? And it's the idea is to try to get them to do the right thing. So that degree of threat, but it's taken as an absolute thing now. It's not absolute in one sense, but it's made to look like that. And without any knowledge of the soul, it feels like that. I mean, I don't know if you ever had that experience. We've had that experience too. But it feels like you're in an eternal situation, which is hell. Do you think it's never going to end? It seems like that when things are like. And on the opposite side too, when things are going well, at least you hope they're never going to end. You don't realize that sooner or later it will end. No matter what it is in this material world, it will end. The material world will end, not just that which is going on. Scientists say that. They haven't got a clear idea of when. But it will end. Everything comes to an end. Everything that has a beginning has an end. That's why the soul is anadi. It's no beginning. The soul has no beginning. Only the body has a beginning. The material universe has a beginning and an end. Whether it's heaven, hell, or in between. So these different systems are there, these planets are there to facilitate the various living entities at different stages of their journey within the material Brahmanda. Their consciousness, their karma is facilitated in this way. But it's not a permanent, it's a constantly changing situation, transforming situation by association. The karma, at least in the earthly planes, of course, not on the higher planets, they're just receiving the results of their karma. So when the results of their karma are extinct or complete or finished, they have to come back again to Marcha Loka and go again through the cycle. And if their reactions, their relationships with God or God's energies are in this way, then they go in that direction. If they're that way, they go in that direction. They're favorable towards the will of God, then they go that way. If they're unfavorable, they go that way. Or they stay here if they're sort of somewhere in between. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Welcome. Come on in. Come, please. Where are you from?
India, we are studying in here.
Oh, you're students?
Yeah, we are students.
Which university here?
SCAMA.
Where?
SCAMA Business School. It's in Surrey and Longchamp.
You know what that is, anyone?
Surrey. It's a private university.
Private one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We won't go any further. It's private. We can't ask anymore. Please take your darshan and make yourselves at home. So, and the same thing applies in the Patala Loka, the lower planetary systems. Huh? You stay there for some time, karma finished, you come back again to your middle planetary systems. Again, you engage in activities with free will, and given the choices, there's no choice up and down. In the heavens it's like that, in the hells it's like that. Unless some special personality comes along, like Narada Muni or somebody, does tend to go throughout the universe and does tend to, change that sometimes by his presence, or other great sages. Raising people beyond heavenly goals and raising people out of their hellish or their ignorance in the lower planetary systems. And of course in the earthly planetary systems is there with religion all the time, is the choice, the plane of choices, which we're somehow or another at this point of time we are in. And within that plane of choices, of course, there are also hellish in one sense, there are hellish life forms too. So it's not like black and white, there's like, colors overlapping there. But in the human form, at least, there's more black and white, more clear. Other species of life, it's another thing. The other species of life get the chance, they're rising up, and they'll be taking human form of life in due course of time. In due course of time. That's the usual. And sometimes that becomes accelerated by unknowing, or let's say, maybe original causes are there of the living entity's own particular desire, but primarily by association, the living entity gets that good fortune in a lower species of life. It's not so much of a conscious thing. So tell us something. Are you from India, all of you?
We are from India.
You're from India, and what are you studying?
I'm doing marketing, masters in marketing.
Marketing.
Both are doing marketing. Masters.
Are you related to each other?
We are friends, like it's
Just friends, not partners of any
No,
kind.
not
Just know each
all
other.
are friends.
You know each other from here or from India?
Yeah, from here.
Oh, you just met in the university or college. So you're doing both marketing, are you?
Yeah.
Are you selling vegetables, or what do you learn to sell? And go to the market, a vegetable store where you can. That's a good one. We need vegetables, so you can.
Right now, we don't have any kind of niche specialization in that.
I see. You go
We are
back
just-
to India and you have one of those stalls on the street selling mangoes or bananas or something. You get a master's degree.
It will be a good experience.
It's the new terms now. It's so funny. And what are you doing?
I'm doing luxury and fashion.
Fashion, luxury and fashion. Okay, we're in the right place for that. France is famous for that one, for all it's worth. But they're famous for fashion, that's for sure. They're very proud of their fashion over here. Material fashion, that is. We've got the most original fashion. Our dress is rather different to most people around here. Saris are becoming quite common now, you know that? Saris in the West are becoming quite popular. Many Western ladies, they love the sari. It's a very beautiful dress, the sari. And men, I don't see so many walking around in dhotis. But the kurtas are becoming quite common. Many Western people, they like the kurtas, especially the Punjabi long ones and different things. Yeah. Punjabi suits are quite common too, people. Western ladies often. They're very relaxing and they're very pretty at the same time. Yeah, so I'm sure you study all these things. How long are you going to be here for?
We are here for like 2 years. This is my last semester. Her second last.
Okay, so it's part of your overall course you're coming here.
It's a part.
Good. What's your language? Hindi?
Yeah. For